So here we have a model for showing the phases of the moon. In front of me is our model for the moon, and it is in between myself and the sun. Now, because the moon is directly in front of us and directly in the path of the sun, the opposite side of the moon is currently lit, and this side is in shadow. Because it's in shadow, it appears that there is no moon in the sky. And like I said, that's why we call it a new moon. Now, the moon orbits around the Earth. And as it orbits around the Earth, different parts or different amounts of the lit side of the moon will become visible. And so I'm going to move around and show what that looks like. But do remember, it is the moon orbiting the Earth which causes this to happen. So as I move around and I get to about here, you can see how on the right-hand side, there is a light part beginning to show. And this is what we call a waxing crescent shape, because as you see on the right-hand side, you have a sort of crescent shape coming on the right. Now, as I move around further, you see how more and more of the light side of that moon becomes visible until I move to about here. Now, this is what we would call a half moon. You can see half of the moon on this side is illuminated and the other side is in shadow. And so you can quite easily see how you are able to, that right-hand side casts a shadow on the left. So this is what we call a half moon. And we're going to increase the size of the lit part of the moon as we move around. So we get to about here. We can see how we almost have a full moon at the minute, but there's still a little slither on the left-hand side, which is in shadow. This shape is called a waxing gibbous. I'm going to continue round until I'm directly in front of the moon. Oops. And now what we have is we have a full moon. A full moon is where the whole half of the moon that is illuminated is you are able to see it in the sky. Okay, there is not the moon is on the opposite side of the sun as the Earth, and you are able then to see the whole illuminated side. So I'm going to continue round, and hopefully we'll see what happens as the moon disappears. So as I move around, oops. Now again, you start to see this shape, which is now called a waning gibbous. And it's essentially the opposite of the waxing gibbous. You can start to see the shadow is beginning to appear on the right-hand side, and the illuminated bit is getting smaller. As I move around, the part in the shadow gets larger and larger and larger until I am left with a half moon. Notice how the half which is illuminated is the opposite way around to the half which was illuminated earlier. If I continue, we get to this shape here. This is called a waning gibbous. Sorry, it's a waning crescent, that's my bad. And you're now just left with a sliver of light illuminated side. And as I move back around, behind here, I'm now back to a new moon. That cycle will continue every 28 days, over and over and over, and that's the lunar cycle.